National Highway Project Yellow Light and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, good morning and welcome to Bigger Than the Score on 93.7 The Ticket. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and then joined as usual on the ones and twos, we got Harrison after a good morning here, and Coach Foreman go ahead and break down the playoff bracket. So it was interesting listening on the ride in, but hope everybody's having a good morning out there and appreciate everybody again for tuning in and supporting the show. How you doing this morning, Harrison?
I'm doing great. We got Creighton today at 3 o'clock. Yep. Watching Nebraska volleyball these past few days. Good start from them. But yeah, I'm in a good mood. It's a nice, cozy morning in here. I'm sure. Is this first time seeing 1040 now it's all decorated with Christmas? Yeah. I saw you got the festive out there. You got the birds singing out here in the front with the trees. And and the mill's open today. Yeah. So again, open. If you haven't seen it, I want to shout that out. 1040 O Street. Grab a cup of coffee, get some work done, hang out with some of the on-air talent, because I'd love to get the name. I don't know if it was Rebecca or if she hired someone out, but it's beautiful in here. Yeah. Like the first time I came in here, it's just awesome atmosphere. And yeah, it really gets me in the mood. Obviously, you got Nebraska, Creighton today at 3 o'clock. We'll hear about the supposed college football playoff bracket, 11 or noon today. That's got to be, me and Jay were laughing about it because those guys had to been up late, sweating, drinking coffee. Because that is a hard decision to make. I bet you they're still going because, I just think I don't know if there's a win in the whole thing. And there's so many, deserving individuals when you think about team wise, you do your job, you do what you're supposed to do, and then you have to leave it in the hands of some individuals. And so, I don't envy it by any means, but we'll all be watching. So yeah, because you look at the Florida State team, they did everything they needed to. And are you not going to put them in because they're without their starting quarterback? That seems unfair to do, but it's like, are you going to leave Texas out when they beat Alabama, who's now the SEC champ? And that's that's a one-loss team. Ohio State's a one-loss team, but they just don't have that. So you're not even looking at them, which is just kind of crazy. It's a mess right now. Like you said, I'm just glad I'm not doing it. I got Washington locked in for sure, and then you're going to keep Michigan locked in. The next two, that's their job to handle. Because who would you want personally? You think would be the best game? Not that if you're actually going to make these. It's hard for me to say best. I would say to me, Texas. I just feel like Texas is playing the strongest right now. I know they dominated probably the best. But they did. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. They looked good. They're just flowing. And then I hate to say it. I mean,
tried and true. Like I have to go with Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, and I just hate to say that with Georgia, but I mean, you can only put four
Mhm.
in, and you know, and the fact we're not even saying anything about Ohio State is kind of a testament to the strength. I think they wish next year was here this
Yeah.
year, but that's still going to always leave things open for interpretation. And so we used to live in Tucson, so I'm a U of A fan. So I got to go ahead and give Mike Alvarez grief, bear down. The basketball team's doing well and beat the breaks off ASU. They're just not quite there to be in that group of four. But if I was biased, I'd say go ahead and move the Wildcats up and give them a run at the title to kind of close things down. So that'll be interesting. Kind of waiting to see what comes on with that. At 11 noon, like you said, a lot of area sports and things going on, and just activities in general. We just saw the Missouri bus kind of head out to head home, and so Nebraska volleyball definitely handled their business at their first round in their regional and their national tournament quest. Soccer obviously came to a close last weekend, opening up things. You got wrestling, and then just kind of area sports with high school. You've got the basketball kicked off with a lot of the jamborees. I know Foreman and a number of them are doing some of the play-by-play, and then just the other area things. We were in Minneapolis this weekend, and so it was kind of a long trip home yesterday. But daughter kind of concluded her volleyball career. They were playing in the D2 national volleyball tournament in the regionals and up in Concordia, St. Paul's. And so I just have to definitely give a shout out. This time of year brings a lot of things. It kind of brings some, and you've talked to me about it a little bit earlier, it brings some joy because things are starting. Everybody's like 0-0 and everybody's, a championship contender. And then things are kind of coming to an end. And for us, it truly did come to an athletic journey. And they lost to Wayne State in a 5-setter. They rematch of volleyball day in Nebraska. And excited. A number of Nebraska scholars on both sides. To be honest, I think 75 of it, not 80% of the rosters on both sides were Nebraska scholars.
That's awesome.
And Wayne State actually ended up winning the regional. They'll be going to the Final 8, so congratulations to them. But there's oftentimes you get into space, and I just have to take advantage of it. Truly proud of not only the team at Kearney, but just have her on in a couple weeks. But just her career ended, and like I said, and there were some tears shed on players' sides and coaches' sides, but a lot of highlights and accolades. But one of my traditions was I would always film the handshake at the beginning, like the intros, and they would handshake, and people like, why would you have that? And it just because to me that was really a cool part of just like, okay, you're there, you're out on the floor, whether you're playing or not. It was just a cool part. But a memory that will stick with me is not the loss and not the game was great, but there was a parent from the other team from Central Missouri. They were playing after us, and he was like, is your daughter here? Is your daughter yet? And he's like, I just want to touch base and just tell her just that heck of a person, heck of a player, and watching it. And it's those moments. I haven't posted anything or stuff as I kind of get some thoughts together, but it's not game pictures or game highlights. It's when she's gotten to take pictures with little kids. It's this coach or this other dad, just random dad, saying something to her that we don't have an affiliation with, who's watched her. It's the bus driver, Tony Little, who was their bus driver, who wrote a handwritten note to all their girls. And so it's those type of things that I think as the season opens, I just encourage parents, I encourage scholars, enjoy, but parents, let your kids ride the bus. And what I mean by that is after games, sometimes you can sign them out and you can take them to dinner and do those things. And those things are great. I get that afterwards, but let them ride the bus. When they do well, let them celebrate it with their teammates and their coaches on it. When they're struggling, let them be on the bus afterwards and let them navigate through that. And that's something that we've always done. She's always enjoyed those rides, and it's not always been fun. There's been times where she's not played well or not played. And so I just want to throw that out there because it just, to me, somebody asked, like, are you sad it's over? And I said, we'll miss certain aspects of it, but what I'm proud of is she always rode that bus.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that is a thing where definitely there's gonna be games, losses where that's the last thing you want to do. Like I've been in situations like that myself, but you always wanted to take that bus ride. It's being with the team, and just because you lost, it's good to kind of go through that together as a team sometimes. And I don't think that's the thing that a lot of people always think about, but I mean, that's absolutely huge. You just be with your team, win or lose. I think that's why it's so important. The coaches, the players, it just kind of helps that reconnection point. We do have one from Facebook from Phil Maynard saying Jaden is such a role model. Obviously, shout out Phil Maynard. Has helped on the show before. And if you guys want to join the show, 402-464-5685. And before we preview our guest here a little bit, I just want to ask you, what was your favorite part of, kind of this whole journey that you've had so far, or just moments that you always look back on and that's always going to stick out?
Yeah. I think, to pinpoint one is it's really hard because, again, we've been fortunate and been around good people, been around some people that, didn't necessarily have best interest in heart, but you learn something from each and every one of them. I have to just say, it's the best moment is just kind of meeting. I always talk about relationships matter. And it's been the relationships that she's gotten to connect with that we didn't know that were going to come full circle. So, it's like, the relationship, seeing that relationship with my wife and how she and her bonded over different things, but also how we bonded and how she helped me navigate certain situations that I may have navigated or had a different lens towards. I think about people like Coach Jeff Rump and Coach Schrofford and Cubic in high school who remain like lifelong, friends who've come out to games and who supported her. I think about Coach Rick Squires, that administration and family there. And so just seeing her navigate a different school, but also maintaining kind of those same kind of connects. And so, Mike Brendan and Alyssa LeGrand, who had been coaches and mentors. And, I guess I'd say, Coach Mike Trader, who was my college coach, who's just always supported. And, the moment that kind of maybe really sticks out is an individual named Coach Kirk Walker. He's the coach at College of St. Mary's. He was at UNO.
Okay.
And he was one of the first ones that reached out and actually started recruiting my daughter for basketball.
That's awesome.
And, I'll be honest, my daughter loved the school. That was a place she just fell in love with it. If they were going to offer, that's where she was going to go. And I remember Coach Walker made a coaching change. And so he was the primary one recruiting her and made that coaching change. And she was heartbroken. And she was just like, it was probably the best decision. Probably part of it was she was going there because of that connection with him. And he, to this day, along with some of these other people I just named, continues to reach out and shoot a note and doesn't talk about, how his team's doing, but how's she doing? We can't wait for a Christmas video. Really, she's a great person if she ever needs anything. And so it's those things that you say, moments that you'll pull out. For some reason, like those individuals always seem to send a note when it was needed, when we weren't doing, when her mom and I weren't doing it. And those are things that I'll kind of always take with me.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's just incredible. And it's been fortunate for us. Obviously you've had her on the show a couple times too, and you get to hear her. And you don't have to second guess any of that. Just the short times I've met her, she's an awesome person. And I'm sure whatever she has in goal next, she's going to kill it. She's going to be a locked in type of person nonetheless. But I do want to preview what we have ahead here for a guest, and we'll go ahead and throw it to our break.
Yeah, we've got another, I always say tremendous or phenomenal scholar. She's up there, got her smile on, be like, yeah, you know this. But Rafa is an individual that I've known her family for I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years, give or take, and have gotten to know her more over the last year and a half in different capacities. And just really have always been moved by who she is as a person, how she invests in others, but also how she puts her voice out there and leads not only herself, but leads others to move. And I don't mean just young people, adults as well. And so Rafa's involved in a number of things. I'm excited to have her kind of share who she is and what she's about. And so when we come back from a break, we're going to have Scholar Rafa on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
School taught you all about the 4 seasons, spring, summer, and so on. And then there's the way we really tell what time of year it is in sports seasons. Football season, baseball season, or off season. But what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now. And now, and now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated, it's time for the chocolate season. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolatseason.com.
Load up on me and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through December 5th is spend $75 and get a 2-pound prepackaged pecano roast for free. Limit 3 per visit while supplies last. Also, through the 5th, get 20% off all cheese and crackers. Don't forget their 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
I'm Sergeant Jones with the Nebraska State Patrol. Driving drunk puts everyone on the road at risk. In Nebraska, over 30% of all roadway fatalities occur in alcohol-related crashes, and every one of those could have been prevented. The decision to give your keys to a sober driver could be the decision that prevents a roadway tragedy. Help keep Nebraska roads safe and always drive sober. This message is presented by the Nebraska State Patrol and the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket. This is Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson, and joined on the ones and twos with Harrison. And so we kicked it off this morning. Harrison, again, how can people get in touch with us if they want to?
Yeah, you guys can always join in on the show for Bigger Than the Score or any of the shows we have following. 402-464-5685 is the Sartor Heyman text line. And Honda of Lincoln hotline as well. You can always comment in through Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 951 as well, and we can read them as they come in.
Fantastic. I always want to thank our partners for broadcasting and putting things out there. So as we get to it, we get introduced before the break, Scholar Rafa. And so how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Fantastic. Glad you're here. And so, well, Rafa, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your purpose, and we'll kind of expand from there.
My name is Rafa. I am a sophomore at Lincoln North Star, and my purpose is just to help people. I'm an immigrant, and I think that's a big part of my just who I am, I guess.
Okay, fantastic. So tell us who's in your family.
Um, in my family, I have my mom, my dad, an older sister who's really paved the way for me and just like what I'm doing and who I am, and then a younger brother and a younger sister.
Awesome. Now get we got to get some name shout outs now.
Okay,
They're
okay.
probably sitting there like, okay, like I'm the one, and they're like, no name. So yeah, if you can, what's their names?
My mom, Hanal Amin, my dad, Ahmed Assir, my sister, Deem Ahmed, my little brother, Faisal Ahmed, and then my little sister, Ragad Ahmed. Shout out to you guys. Definitely shaped who I am and why I'm here right now.
Fantastic. And so, as you talked about your family, you talked a little bit about being an immigrant. For those listening, explain what that means to you. I know we know the definition, but what does that mean to you?
Well, I am from Sudan originally. That's like my ethnicity. I was born in Dubai though, and then I was born in 2008. My parents moved to America 2009. And I feel like I really didn't have a lot of that immigrant experience, or like I felt like I didn't because I came to America, didn't really speak anything at all because I was a baby still. So I felt like I didn't have that struggle to like fit in like my older sister and my parents did. But like as I grow up, I just think that like being an immigrant is such a big important part of my life. And no matter what, like even if I didn't have to go through those like I guess technically struggles, it's just really who I am.
So when you talk about that experience, what were some of the experiences like maybe that your sister has that she's talked to you about and maybe kind of helped guide you as you kind of move, navigate in your personal journey?
Well, my older sister came to America not speaking any English, so I guess that was one thing I've always kind of looked to her for guidance about literally anything. Like we're super close now, and I guess some things like the cadre, for example, I was just like, how am I gonna like make a change? Because she's really involved and she's always trying to help others, and that's a big thing. Like my purpose is definitely to help others, no matter where I'm at. So looking to her for like how should I like go through with that, and what should I do, and how am I making a change, and is this good enough? Like just so much.
Awesome. So what is something that people wouldn't know by just looking at you?
That's a difficult question, I think, because I feel like I really try and portray who I am, like through myself or through my body, I guess. But one thing is probably that, like, I'm really involved. Like, I love to be involved with everything. Like, I'm everywhere all at once, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I just like to be, I feel like I have FOMO missing out on things. So, like, if there's an opportunity available to me, I'm just going to try and snag it immediately. Like, I just love to help others and be involved in things.
And I have to say that's the truth, Harrison. Like I send out kind of a text, occasionally, and wasn't sure just because of travels if I was going to be here or not. So I was thinking about, okay, you might just have to go ahead and do a replay of a past episode. And so I think yesterday I sent it out and I just said, hey, is anybody interested? And it was like right away, like, yes, yes, I'm interested. Okay, hold on that. I'm going to make sure I can get a ride, et cetera, et cetera. So I do, that is a testament to you and your involvement. Talk about what are you involved in? You mentioned a couple things, but like what are things you're involved in inside of school, outside of school, in the community?
At school, I am a part of North Star speech team. I'm also a part of our Hope Squad and a soon-to-be student council member. I'm also an ETS scholar. And then outside of school, I volunteer at Bryan Health, Bryan.
Okay.
I'm less of a volunteer now because my volunteer days are Fridays, but those are speech tournament days. So I'm kind of just a sub now, but still community that I'm a part of. I'm also part of the cadre at LPS, and I think that's all I can think of right now.
So you mentioned ETS and Hope Squad. What is ETS for those that may not know? And then what is like the Hope Squad?
ETS is the educational trio or the educational
talent
search. Yeah. And to me, it's just a place I can go and be comfortable. And they give us so many opportunities for like college visits and stuff. And just to learn about like, at school, I learned about how to do math and stuff. But at ETS, I can kind of learn how to be like a member of society and just like how to do all the things. And I have like, an older sister for guidance, but for like the students who are like, they have no older siblings, it's so important to like some of my friends that like they have somebody to talk to and just somewhere to go when they're not sure what to do. And then for Hope Squad, At at North Stars Hope Squad, we just try and support others, bring hope, I guess. We have a Hope Day, I think in March or April maybe, where we wear our shirts, and we just kind of try and show people who we are so then they can reach out to us and get the help that they need because it's so important. Mental health is like so important to everybody. And to be able to have, a student to talk to or like somebody to refer you to get help is so, so important.
Well, we've had Kaylee Dankert has been on in the past. She was a member of the Hope Squad at East High School and now has graduated, but also a national member as well. And so you hit it, dead on that, mental health and people needing support. And so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say, if you do need support in any form or fashion, reach out to somebody or the national hotline is 988. And you can definitely get that from whether it's peers, adults, but let's erase that stigma with it. So definitely glad you're involved in that. So, you talked about something that people didn't know by just looking at you. Talk about why do relationships matter to you? So you're involved in all these things. And so there's got to be some connects. I don't think you're just going into spaces with people that you don't like. And so why do relationships matter?
To me, relationships matter because I just feel like I want to have really an eye everywhere. I always just, like I said, my purpose is to help others. So to be in different places, in different communities and help others there, but also to receive that help, I'm not perfect. I'm only 15, I still need help all the time. So I think just to have either peers or coaches and stuff to help me when needed. Shout out to Allison Finn and Zach Nelson, my speech coaches, really amazing people who I don't think I would be here without them.
Awesome. So when you think about that, what's one relationship, you talked about those two individuals and maybe just expand on them or others. What is one relationship that you've had to date that has really made an impact on your life thus far?
Honestly, I'm going to have to go with Pete Ferguson.
See, I didn't do this self-promotion. Harris is he had his coffee about spit it up on the board. That's a brand new board, Harrison. So hold it in. But
I've had so many opportunities with Pete. I just I don't think I would be able to be in this space, but just so many spaces. And I think being in the cadre, for example, has made me, be able to share my voice out and just talk to others and, have an opinion and stick by that. So yeah.
Well, and I'm appreciative and humbled, and when individuals say my name, that's not what you get into it for, but I'm appreciative of what I'm able to pour into you. But I also always say, you and your family has moved me forward in so many ways. So I do truly thank you and appreciative of that. So as you've done that, what advice would you give to your peers? As you go through this journey, what's a piece of advice that you'd give to peers? And I always say your peers are those that are kind of from birth to, other scholars, 25, give or take.
To my peers, always just use your voice, speak out. Your voice is so powerful. It's honestly the most powerful thing you have. And it doesn't matter if you don't have the opportunities. For example, I have so many opportunities that other people don't have. I'm so grateful for those. But to use your voice gives you the opportunities that you need. It gives you everything that you need, really. Speak your opinion, speak what you think, and always use your voice.
Wow. And as you sat here earlier, first off, what's an example? For some people say use your voice. And so there might be young people listening and it's okay, I'm not on student council. I didn't get voted to be on, or I'm not, the most popular person or this, that, and the other. I'm kind of introverted. What is an example of how somebody can do that if they're just ready to they want to take that first step?
I think it kind of varies from age. I think for younger kids, talk to your parents, talk to your guardians, talk to your siblings. If you're not able to, if you don't think you have that platform to speak out on things or show your opinion, tell it to other people and they will relay that to others. For adults, I think just really anybody who will listen. It doesn't mean you don't have to go out and speak in front of a stage to tell your voice or speak your voice. You just have to talk to others and tell people how you feel about things, whether it's friends, parents, siblings, really anybody.
Wow. No, thanks. I think sometimes it's always taking that first step. And we talk, obviously we've got a thing with the rally and march of walk together. And sometimes people always say, okay, I'll follow you anywhere. And sometimes when we talk about people walking together, we need people behind us. We need people on the side, but we also need people in front of us. And so taking those first steps, what are those action steps? Appreciate you sharing that. So as we asked about advice for other scholars and peers, what is some advice, some direct advice that you would have for parents and guardians that are out there?
I think this one's kind of, I guess, brief, just like my last piece of advice, but listen. I think listening is so important. Listen to everybody, but also obviously the speak your voice part. I think for an adult, it's so important for you to listen to others, or especially like children, peers, or my peers. Listening to them and just letting them tell you what they feel and how they think. Because I think adults, you are an adult and you're mature, your voice really matters. But as a kid, it's like, I'm not an adult yet, so my voice shouldn't matter. But to have an adult listen to you is so important, and it feels like, I really matter, and like I have an opinion and that matters.
Well, and I think as you talked about listening, again, I'm going to ask you the same question. For those that might struggle with that, what does that look like? How can they take the first step if they're like, it's really a struggle? Because as a parent, as a guardian, I mean, I struggled with it. It's like, okay, we're looked to it to give advice. We're the ones that are supposed to say something. And sometimes like our greatest strength is I just got to hear. And even if I don't agree, like, that was kind of, again, that was something I was at fault because I'd jump in. And so what's a technique? What does it look like for somebody that's doing it well, from being in a scholar seat?
I think nodding your head is so important. When I talk to like my teachers and stuff, and they'll sit there and they'll nod their head and they don't say anything, it's like, you're really comprehending what I'm saying, and you're trying to think about it, and you're trying to give me, a good response afterwards. And even if you don't give a response afterwards, even if you don't have your words quite yet, just relay that, I guess. Tell them what you're thinking or what you're gonna think eventually, or tell them you're not ready quite yet to respond. Just engage in what they're saying to you.
Wow. I think you got a lot of people nodding their heads, whether they're watching or listening right now. After you said that, Harrison and I were both like, go ahead, and almost looked like that bobblehead. So we had our head nod on. Rafa, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back after and just ask you some more questions in regards to just the importance of culture has played in your life, additional advice you'd have for the community and some of those involvements. So we'll be back after this break on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Everything we do, from our jobs to our hobbies, to the stuff that makes us who we are, all of those things come with a tool of the trade. I'm Trooper White of the Nebraska State Patrol. Wearing your seatbelt can reduce your risk of injury by 50% in a crash. So every time you get in a vehicle, remember to use the tool of the trade, your seatbelt. This message presented by the Nebraska State Patrol and the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
Their age.
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid?
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
If you can plan barbecues and weddings, you can plan to protect yourself from a natural disaster. Sign up for local alerts, prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
A child's learning doesn't just happen in a classroom. It happens wherever they are, all day, every day. What you teach your child at home is every bit as important as what they learn in school. Talk to your child about your family, your history, the foods you eat, the holidays you celebrate, and the values that are important to you. Tolerance, honesty, respect. Remember, you are your child's first and most important teacher.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de the Alzheimer's Association y the Ad Council.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
Their age.
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action. Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson with Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and joined on the board with Harrison. So always truly appreciate that. We had a couple of call-ins. We have Scholar Rafa, who is holding it down and making the heads nod in the cars. And so we had a texter, I believe, Harrison, call in and say they had their heads nodding.
Yeah, we had an unknown texter saying my head's nodding now. And then also over the break, we also had Phil Maynard chiming in saying intentionally listening is so important. What a way to show value, and that he is also nodding his head in the car. So
Fantastic.
got a bunch of head nodders.
Now, I'm a little worried about Phil, knowing him. It's that multitasking thing. So both hands on the wheel, Phil. So no, but do appreciate our listeners and everybody tuning in and supporting and elevating these young folks. So Rafa, tell us, we talked a little bit about just advice you're giving, a little bit about, your family, and was really taken because obviously, as you named and you talked about them being immigrants and being, adding value and pouring into this community. Why is culture so important to you?
For me, culture is really important because I just want to have a space where I'm with people who I'm alike with. At school, I have my friends and everything, but we all have such different cultures and we go back to such different homes. So to have a culture where I'm I speak the same language as you guys, I can talk in Arabic freely and just be around others who are like me. And it reminds me of home, really, reminds me of Sudan when I'm with my grandparents. So just to be around others like me.
So as we come into this space, obviously, I said you said your name and it's, oftentimes we give things to others to add them comfort. So say your name and your family's name and just your full name. So everybody, like I said, I want your full richness out there.
My name is Rafa Ahmed Assir Ahmed Atadjid. And so in Sudanese culture, I guess, my last name is my dad's name. And then my second last name is my grandpa's name, and then so on and so forth. So I guess my last name goes on forever, but I only know those 5 names.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's powerful because I think oftentimes, like I said, we get into these spaces and then we just, we take from others, but then we also don't give. And so I wanted to make sure I gave that. And as you put your full name out there, truly appreciate you sharing with us. So how can people celebrate you, and how can people celebrate culture when maybe they're just thinking, okay, I want to honor, I want to appreciate somebody, but I'm just not sure how to appropriately do it.
I'm going to keep this simple. I think ask. Whenever people ask me about Sudan, I just get so excited. I have so much to say, that's my home. That's where I'm from. That's where my grandparents are at. So just ask others about, what they're eating, for example, or, what they're wearing, their culture. I just feel like I get so excited when people ask me about my culture. So I think others do too.
So I'm going to follow what you just said. What brings you joy about your culture?
I think there's so many things that bring me joy. That's really hard to pinpoint one, but just speaking in Arabic with my parents is a really big thing. Part of Sudanese culture is, Arabic. There's also different languages throughout the country, but for me, I speak Arabic with my parents, and I just feel like it transforms me from speaking English all day at school with my friends, going home and speaking Arabic with my parents is just it's kind of relaxing almost. And I'm finally home. I've kind of I want to say unveiled myself and this is my true self, speaking Arabic with my parents at home. So important, so fun, such a big part of me.
So you're going to teach Harrison and I something today. So
Definitely.
How do we say thank you in Arabic?
Shukran.
Shukran?
Shukran, and at the end.
Shukran? Shukran.
Shukran.
Shukran. Shukran.
Pretty close, yeah.
Okay. She's like, Harrison.
Need a little practice.
Okay, I'm working on it. Harrison, how about you?
Yeah, say one more time.
Shukran.
Shukran.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
For crying out loud, I got to put in the remedial. She's like, a little practice in Harrison. She's like, that's okay. There you go.
Yeah, that's why I let you go first. I'll let you do it wrong, and then I'll adjust.
We're gonna let Harrison close the show. Then I'm gonna see if he remembers at the end of the show. He's gonna say it to go ahead and close things. So you talked about the things that bring you joy. What are some things that frustrate you sometimes that people just do maybe unintentionally or aggressions? We oftentimes say microaggressions, but anything micro is still an aggression. What are some aggressions that they may do intentionally or unintentionally that don't instill pride, don't instill joy to you?
I think one thing that people do a lot, which is comes from a good place, is just trying to make me I guess I am the token Sudanese person or the token Black person. And I guess that just makes me feel is that the only worth that I have? And I understand that they're trying to be, bring me in and really rein in my culture and have me feel comfortable, but it almost makes me like, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I have to cover up myself even more just so I can be who they want me to be. So just asking people again, like, how do you feel about me? Like, how do you feel that I am putting you in this position? Because a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. Some people really are like, this is their space and they love this. But for, I think for most, it's kind of like, is this the only worth that I have in this space?
Okay. No, I appreciate that. So recently you took part in a strategic planning process. You helped organize scholars to elevate their voice, and you, in that coordination of people, you continue to talk about being in space and the importance of voice. And so why is youth voice so important? Why is elevating youth voice, I say critical or absolutely essential, but maybe you feel like it's expendable. So why is youth voice important?
Because I think so often it's the adult voice that's used for everything, but in spaces where you're trying to, better the schools and stuff, you definitely need youth voice in that. And honestly, in everything, because we're not just alive in the spaces you want us to be alive, we're alive everywhere. So I experience everything differently than you do, and I see it from a different viewpoint as a scholar and as as a kid, I guess, teenager more. But I just feel like if you don't get the opinion of others, I think teenagers have a pretty obviously everybody's different, but they have a totally different viewpoint from adults. So just to get us, just to hear our voices and have us tell you how we feel about different situations, definitely critical, I think, in my mind.
So what do you say to those individuals that say, you know what, young people aren't adept or skilled or ready to be having these difficult conversations, whether it be on, equity to inclusion to diversity to accessibility to city planning? What do you say to those individuals?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, what do you say to individuals that just say, young people just are not, they don't have the knowledge, or they're not ready. They need to kind of sit and take a back seat when it's on conversations that sometimes people seem are difficult, whether it's like inclusion, belonging, accessibility, or planning for the city.
Yeah, I think that it's so crazy to think that students are not ready, because some aren't. I gotta say, as a fifth grader, I'm not I wasn't ready personally. Other people are most definitely, but I wasn't ready because I wasn't put in those spaces. I didn't have those conversations. If an adult was to teach me or to have, include me in those conversations, I would have been ready by the fourth grade, honestly. It just depends on how other people around you are putting you in those conversations first. For a kid, you adapt other people around you, and you kind of take pieces of others around you. So if they're putting you in those conversations and they're talking to you from a young age, then you're honestly set to go.
Awesome. So as you're adding your voice, like I said, you took part in a strategic plan, adding your voice as the rest of the community had the opportunity to do for Lincoln Public Schools. What is something that schools, and it's not just Lincoln Public Schools, but what are something that schools you see are doing well right now across the country? And I know you've had limited in regards to where you've gone, but what are some things schools are doing well right now?
I think one thing that they're doing well is just trying to hear student voices. For so long, people were, like you said, they disregarded student voices and they thought that they weren't as important. But I think around the country right now, more schools are starting to have different types of groups where students can go share their voice and just tell what they want to tell.
Like that. So what do schools need to do? Okay, what do schools across the country, or Lincoln, whatever, need to do to ensure that there's equity, there's inclusion, there's belonging and accessibility, not just for current scholars, but also for future scholars? So our strategic plan is looking at a 5-year plan. So what do they need to do for not only just current individuals, but also for future scholars to ensure those things?
I think they can get the opinion of everybody, because everybody thinks differently. Everybody has different experiences. So if you hear from a range of scholars from, 5th, 4th grade, all the way until senior year, they all have different experiences. They all think differently. For older kids, they're going to be gone in a couple of years. But for the younger kids, they have an opinion now, and that opinion is going to go throughout their years and until they are going to be gone in a couple of years. So just to, listen, I guess.
Wow. You've given a lot of advice throughout the day to peers, to parents, to schools, and to educators. What what is some advice that you would have for the Lincoln or the greater community? I know we're statewide and worldwide and everything, but what's some advice you would have for people right here, right now?
Get involved. There's things everywhere. I didn't know about this until I knew Pete. So just to be in this space and, getting involved in this or getting involved with my community and those around me, you don't have to get involved and, once again, speak at a stage or go do something crazy, but just, take those first couple of steps and talk to others, get involved with your school community or your work community or your family more, whoever it is, just get involved.
I think something when you talk about getting involved, I also have to give you credit because oftentimes you can put the opportunities forward, but somebody has to say yes to the ask. And so I think it's a two-way. You get involved, but also when you're asked, say yes if you can. It might be, we always talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. And so saying yes to the ask is something that you've definitely done. And so you talked a little bit about why getting involved. What would you say to your future self? So what you're in speech, what's the speech that you would give, the 30, 45-second speech that you would give to your future self right now?
Try harder. I don't want to say, I feel like harder is kind of like there's a stigma against that, to try harder, but I just think if I were to just stay smooth sailing where I was a couple of years ago, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So to advance, you just have to try harder than you were the day before.
Like that. Is there a speech you'd give to your younger self?
Probably try harder again, because as a little kid, I was honestly, once again, the smooth sailing was like, I'm doing good right now. So I guess that's just going to be like, this is how good I'm going to be for the rest of my life. But as I started to get more mature and started to try a little bit harder and get more involved and stuff, my life just like shot up immediately and went like so much better. And obviously there's those ups and downs, but like generally it got better.
Okay, awesome. So what does the future hold for you as you move forward? I don't want to say like, what do you plan to do when you grow up? Because I mean, you're up here, spitting knowledge and dropping nuggets, and Harrison's like, you're 15?
Yeah, it took me a second. I had to do a double check there.
And so what does the future hold for you, or how can people invest in you if they're out there listening?
I feel like I kind of struggled with that question for a couple of years, but as of right now, one thing I know for sure, like I said, I want to get more involved as I grow up. I'm going to leave different spaces, but I'm going to make sure to enter new spaces and new communities. I hope to go to UNL, and I don't know, I'm kind of stuck between job choices right now, or career choices, I guess, doctor or nurse or teacher. I'm kind of different, but just in a space where I can help others. So yeah.
Wow. Harrison and I always marvel, like, it's nothing simple. And I think every profession has different opportunities and value, but never anything simple by any means. So as we get ready to close, what's a closing piece of advice or a quote that you live by that you want to give to those that are listening and that drive you?
I think this one's kind of corny almost. And I kind of try to come up with a new one, but be yourself. It's everywhere all the time, and people don't really take that into account. And I didn't really either, because it's like, this is just a quote on my teacher's door. I don't really care about it much, but just to be myself has brought me so many new opportunities and made me who I am, or I guess made me myself. So
wow. No, I like that. Powerful. Well, as we get ready to end, I'm gonna try it. Shukran.
That was good. Yeah, that was good.
Shukran.
No, that was bad.
No, that was
that
bad.
was good.
Yeah.
Shukran. There we go.
Well,
got to roll it a little bit.
We want to say shukran. Yeah, we keep going, but I love your quote. Be yourself everywhere, all the time, and definitely just thank you for who you are, investing in us this morning, but investing in me over time, and saying yes to the ask. Please join us next week. 93.7 The Ticket, bigger than the score. This is Peter Ferguson with Harrison on the board. Greatly appreciate it. Have a great week.